like, in an American context, there's like a misdemeanor, and then there's like a felony, right? And then like there's different levels of, I guess, law breakage.
Yeah.
There's a similar. Has there been a classification of such kind of levels of law breakage within the Islamic system? Right, i.e., stealing food from that seems like the equivalent of a misdemeanor.
Right.
Right. Versus murder.
But it's not a misdemeanor at all. That's what he's saying. It's not even a misdemeanor.
So like versus like murder, right? That like which is like capital punishment, right?
Yeah.
The beyond felony kind of thing. Is there such a classification amongst because I think that's one of the things that people don't like. People understand that in the American context. Oh.
Yeah.
Such a law was broken. Like you got a speeding ticket, right?
Yeah.
Versus manslaughter, where you were speeding and then you hit somebody and they died.
Yes.
Right? Like there's different.
And
degrees.
some are experts. Like, yeah, you get 9 to 5 with that, and they're like,
right,
or
like,
5 to 10 years with that.
Like there's that clear classification. Yeah. I feel like there should be if there isn't. And
we have the prescribed punishments, and then so you have the prescribed punishments for certain actions, and then after that you have.
But even with the prescribed punishments, right? That's in a situation where you've been caught, tried, and found guilty, right? Even before all that, one of the many cases that you give, even the judges be like, "Yo, plead not guilty."
Yeah.
Right. The equivalent of that,
yes.
Right? Like you said, the example, like, "Oh, you stole," like say no, yeah. Right? Like don't testify against yourself, kind of thing. And I feel like that's one of the things where, and the reason I'm bringing this up is it's like. Recently, I saw this movie with Liam Neeson called The Honest Thief. Mm-hmm. Right, this guy stole like $9 million over the course of a decade. Right, several banks just hitting him up. Mm-hmm. He didn't spend a dime of it. He just stole it because he thought because he could. And in the end, he meets the lady. He falls in love, and he's like, you know what? She's good. I want to quit doing this. Mm-hmm. So for a whole year, he doesn't do any robberies. But then he feels guilty about having stolen all this, so he wants to turn himself in. Right, he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to turn myself in and do the minimum amount of time. Cut a deal and then have a honest life with this woman. And I just part of it, I was remember watching this movie. I'm like, even in the case where like if you stole, right, and you never got caught, like I guess the Islamic process, like if you didn't it's tawbah, right? And even then you could give that money to charity. Right?
Yeah. So in general here, because.
Not that we're advocating the robbing of banks.
So
I'll just give you an example.
Let's say you rob someone, you give them the money back.
Yeah.
Okay, but Shaykh, they died.
Yeah.
Okay, so you give the money in charity on their behalf.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're just ways, and there's an athar that says.
What's an athar?
An athar is a statement from a companion but not from the Prophet ﷺ.
Okay.
It says basically, "Man adnaba sirran falyatub sirran. Man adnaba alaniyatan falyatub alaniyatan." I can't remember if it's an athar or not. Anyways, but so it's saying whoever committed a sin in secret, let him make his tawbah in secret. You don't have to let the world know. Okay. And whoever made this sin in public, let him repent publicly. Like if someone was drunk last week in front of the whole community and embarrassed himself in the masjid, when he makes tawbah, let him.
But what if the sin that you committed had caused harm to somebody? You stole something of theirs, right? Or you damaged something of somebody's, right?
You have to rectify it with them.
Okay, but what if the consequences of rectifying has legal consequences?
That was the athar. It was the athar.
Okay.
The hadith, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Ta'afu al-hududa fima baynakum." Yani, basically settle out issues of prescribed punishment amongst yourself. Yeah, meaning I stole from the guy, I can deal with him. I'll give you, here's your money back.
Like a settlement.
Yeah, I spent this much of it. I'll pay it back to you over. You don't have to take it to court. You can just settle it out of court, basically.
Okay.
But of course, these are just guidelines for specific crimes, and then it doesn't apply to murder, like necessarily. If someone says. Or like, when the woman, two women to witness the business transaction. But if a woman witnesses a murder, she has to find another woman. Like, where's she going to get another woman? She witnessed one murder. So some people think that one rule of court or testimony in court applies to every kind of crime. Right. It's not the case. And that's why always in class I tell people, I'm going to be dealing with court as it pertains to zina, and proving zina
Yeah.
and and slander,